Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast live, where I answer some of the questions from the Who That Nation and also tell you about some of the hot topics going on with the black and gold. But before I get started, I want to give a special shout out to my guy, Jai Anderson. Shouts out to Jai Anderson. He allowed me to be a guest on his show called the Laniap Legends. So if you are on YouTube, please subscribe to his channel, Laniap Legends. We talked a little bit about the New Orleans Saints and also, man, just a little bit about how I got into doing podcasting in the first place. So once again, Laniap Legends, okay, on YouTube. Check them out, man. Also follow Laniap Legends crew on Facebook. Real solid dude, man. Good show. He's building his following up, man. So y'all go ahead and support those guys and support Laniap Legends. But let's go ahead and talk about some hot topics that need to be discussed. Shouts out to my guy Jerry Poor, who is always first on the dial. Shouts out to Nathan and my guy Kirion, man. Shouts out to Kirion and all y'all that's filing in right now, the 18 that I see in there right now. And we're going to be talking about Jameis Winston. That's right. We're going to be talking about Jameis Winston because Jameis Winston has some very interesting things to say about his NFL career. And it has a lot of people in the Who That Nation talking. And I thought I would never see the day where I seen people in the Who That Nation defending Jameis Winston for a statement that he made. But here we are, man. What did Jameis Winston say? Some of you are probably asking yourself, what did Jameis Winston say? Well, according to sources, well, it's not even according to sources, Tyler Doones of the Bleacher Report, he sat down with Jameis Winston and he interviewed him. And Jameis Winston said this. He says, I know day in, day out, without publicly coming in and saying that I am historically one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. I'm going to say that again. And I know day in, day out, without publicly coming in and saying it, that historically, I'm one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. Okay, man. Look, okay. Now, Jameis Winston said that he historically is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Now, before we really break this down, let's just go ahead and read some of Jameis Winston's stats. Now, Jameis Winston last year did lead the league in passing. Okay, he had 5,109 yards passing. Okay, he was part of the 5,000-yard club. But he also had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, which we will never forget the 30 for 30 that Jameis Winston put up. Look, man, I'm all about guys having confidence. I'm all for guys having a belief in themselves and their abilities. But what in the hell was Jameis Winston thinking putting this garbage on paper? Bruh, this is the problem that I have, okay? There's nothing wrong, once again, with confidence. But there is nowhere in the world that you are one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. You are not. You are not even in a conversation. You're not even in a room. You're not even in a house for you to say that you are the best quarterback to ever play the game. You have 5,000 yards. Yes, that is true, Jameis Winston. But you're missing one particular point. The reason why you was throwing for so many yards is because you put your team behind the 8-ball, turning the ball over at an alarming rate. Okay, look, I understand he plays for the Saints, and I understand that we want to support this guy because he is a member of the Who That Nation now, and he's a member of the Black and Gold. But, bruh, chill out, man. Like, seriously, dude. Like, he is not one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. Now, can this guy resurrect his career? Can he turn his career around? Absolutely. But even when he turns his career around, I will not say that Jameis Winston will be a top 10 or a top 5 quarterback in the league. And I don't care if he is playing for the Saints or not. The best that Jameis Winston, in my opinion, will ever be is middle of the pack. A Tiger does not change his stripes. I'm going to say that again, folks. A Tiger does not change his stripes. Now, if Jameis Winston last year, he had 30 interceptions, and years past, he didn't have these type of stats, then maybe we'll have a conversation. We'll be having a different conversation, and I'll be saying, well, maybe he can be top 5. But his turnover issues have dated back to Florida State University. I don't know if people have been paying attention to my podcast. I don't know if people have been listening to what I've been saying, but I said this. Jameis Winston, for the exception of last year, has never been held accountable for turning the ball over because you had coaching staff members, you had recruiters latching on to Jameis Winston and attaching themselves to him. And as successful as he grows, they attach their success onto him and they go to different places. Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, end up latching on to Jameis Winston so much that he got a job at Texas A&M. And all of these other coaches, nobody ever really held him accountable. And now when he went into the league and he was the first overall pick and he went to Tampa Bay, they expected for Tampa Bay organization to stop his turnovers. But of course, they wasn't going to get rid of him or anything like that because they felt like he was the future of the franchise. So he never, ever been held accountable for his actions when it comes to turning the ball over until last year with Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is like the first coach to really hold his foot to the fire when it comes to turning the ball over. And maybe it was a shock to him. Maybe it's the fact that nobody really told him that you stinking a joint up. Maybe nobody ever just told him, hey, man, you need to chill out for a second, man, and go and look and evaluate some of these other quarterbacks and see how they, throw the ball and not put the ball in harm's way. Look, Jameis Winston needs some help. And I'm not talking about because of his statements. I'm talking about overall. Jameis Winston needs some help with his decision making. He needs some help when it comes to him going through his progressions. He needs help when it comes to all these things, man. And I'm not saying, once again, he can't resurrect his career. But if you were to put Jameis Winston as a starter in the National Football League, let's just say this upcoming season, I am not confident that it will help his career. It will actually only hurt his career. I think by him sitting down and learning from Drew Brees and being in a quarterback room and understanding the X's and O's and holding that clipboard is going to save his career. Now, once again, when he gets an opportunity to hit the field, I still don't feel like he is going to be a top 5 quarterback because I just don't feel like he's a top 5 quarterback. Never will he be a top 5 quarterback. He'll throw the ball all over the place. And yeah, he'll make a game exciting because he has a really good arm and he has a lot of good skills, but he'll never be a top 5 quarterback. He will never be in the conversation of the greatest of all time. He will never be in that conversation. Now, the Saints are fortunate enough to have a guy with his skill set, but I'm just not sold on Jameis Winston. And these comments that he had, man, make me wondering what was he smoking that day. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's hear from the Who Dat Nation. Let's see what y'all have to say here about Jameis Winston. Nathan says, Jameis is the future. I'm feeling him. Well, Nathan, look, you feeling him, but even though if he is the future of the New Orleans Saints, that's not saying much, okay? The future just means that you're just next up. That don't mean that you're going to carry this franchise to a championship. That don't mean that you're going to carry this franchise into the future. That just means that you're up next. Now, if you're saying that he's up next, then I don't have a problem with that. But I'll be lying to you if I was to tell you that Jameis Winston is the answer to the quarterback problem after Drew Brees, okay? I just don't feel like it is. As a matter of fact, like I said before, and I've said this on several occasions, I don't feel like the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints is even in the locker room. I don't think it's Taysom Hill, and I don't think it's Jameis Winston. I'm sorry. I hate to hurt people's feelings, but that's just the way that I feel. Now, I do feel like these guys can change my mind. I have no problem with eating crow when it comes to my opinion. But I'm not feeling none of these dudes, man. I'm not feeling none of these dudes. I don't see clutch. I don't see guys that can lead this team later on down the line. I just see a bunch of guys that probably can generate some excitement, but not going to do nothing besides just generate excitement. Not going to get the team over the hump and, probably just have us, pretty much in every game. But thank you, Nathan. What's good with it? Who that fam? What's going on, Kirion? Let's see. Pump your brakes, brother. You good, but still have a ways to go. For real, a long way to go. I think he totally could be, but not right now. Yeah, he needs to sit down, Nathan. He can be one day. Uh, don't put the man down for real, for real. Um, I ain't putting the man down. I'm not putting him down. I'm just stating. I'm just stating how I feel. I'm not going to sugarcoat it just because he's Jameis Winston. He turns the ball over. I'm telling y'all what has been going on since Florida State. I've been watching Jameis Winston since he was at Florida State. His last season at Florida State, man, he was turning the ball over left and right. I think he went like 8 or 9 straight games with turning the ball over. So I think that people just like, man, give him a chance. But I'm just telling y'all what it is, man. The man turns the ball over a lot. And that is a recipe for sitting your behind down on the bench for the foreseeable future. You turning the ball over and putting the ball in harm's way. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it just because he plays for the Saints. I'm not going to sugarcoat it just because he's on the team. I haven't seen anything out of Jameis Winston for me to say that he is the future of this franchise. He could be the spokesperson for LASIK if he has a better season. Yeah, I believe that. I've seen too much tape on Jameis. He is not it. What's good, TJ Jones, the host? Brother, who that? And what's going on, Joe? Don't get me wrong, Winston is a good quarterback, but being one of the top quarterbacks right now, not yet. TJ, he needs to be humble. If you were all that, you wouldn't be a backup. Yep. Calm down. Yeah, I agree with that. Man, check this out. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with having confidence. You can have a belief. You can have a belief in yourself. You can believe that you are good, like let's just say, for example, like on your job. You probably consider yourself really good at your job. You feel like somebody else come in, they're not going to put up the job or do the job, the way that you do it. But let's be realistic about this, man. The whole point of being a quarterback is for you to get the ball where it needs to be and also not to put the ball in harm's way once again. This guy has 30 interceptions, man. I cannot remember the last time I remember a quarterback throwing for 30 interceptions. That is absolutely unacceptable, okay? 60% of his passes. He completed 60.7% of his passes last season. Man, that's not going to get the job done. Now, he can sit up here and wear resurrection shirts and, man, honestly, man, he can get himself, to a better situation. But I'm just not sold on Jameis Winston. I'm just not. I'm just not sold on him. It's going to take him some time. It is going to take him some time in order for him to stop doing some of those things that have plagued him throughout his entire NFL career and towards the end of his college career. So, very interesting. Confident is just a basic belief that you're capable. This dude is approaching delusional. Winston will have a year to learn. Let's just wait to see what happens when he competes with Taysom Hill next year. First round pick just a few years ago, we could have a steal here. Yeah, we could have a steal, man, but let's not pretend like we weren't cracking jokes on Jameis Winston, and let's not pretend like we didn't have a W next to the schedule when Jameis Winston was the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, man, I'm not gonna play the game, man. Look, I get it. He plays for the team. We supporting him now. But man, come on, man. Be real. When the Saints were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, y'all know y'all had a W in front of the schedule, and it had a lot to do with him. So I'm not going to say, oh man, he's going to come to the Saints, and all of a sudden all his interception situations, all his interception woes are going to go away. Nah, man. No, I'm not doing that, man. Now he can change my mind. He can change my mind, folks. I have no problem with coming on here if Jameis Winston cut down on the interceptions and I'll be like, man, like I was wrong. I'm eating crow. I ain't got no problem with that. But all I know is this guy threw for 30 interceptions last season, and he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And just because he puts on the Saints uniform, it's not like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's not like he went from being Jarvis to the Vision. And for those that probably don't know what I'm talking about, man, look at Iron Man. Okay, Jarvis was the voice that was inside the suit of Iron Man. Okay, and then Jarvis evolved and became the Vision. You know what I'm saying? It's not like one of those situations where he just starts off, I don't know, just middle of the pack, and then all of a sudden now he put on a Saints uniform. Now he's elite like Drew Brees. Nah, bro. Nah. Now it's gonna take some time, man. I need to see it. So I'm not giving him a pass just because he's a Saint now. I'm sorry. I'm going by what I've seen over the past few seasons, and what I've seen is mediocrity at its best. Okay, that's all I've seen. I've seen a guy that's been benched because he can't get the job done. I've seen a guy that throw four interceptions in a game. I've seen a guy put the ball in harm's way. I've seen a guy putting wobbly ducks all over the field. Straight up, So somebody said I'm hating. Well, if I'm hating, look, if I'm hating, oh well. But I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to pretend just because he plays for the Saints, okay? And I'm pretty sure when he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you will count on him. You will count on him to throw interceptions like he always do. But that's what we do, man. We pretend like these situations don't arrive because these players play for the Saints. All of a sudden now, they elite because they play quarterback for the Saints. Man, knock it off. The Saints got them big fellas, or as you would put it, TJ, them ham sandwich fellas. Yeah, man. I mean, they got a lot of good players on the Saints team, man. No doubt. Y'all bashing him off one season of hella interceptions. We're bashing him off one season of hellish interceptions. Hold on here. I'm looking at stats right now, bro. Would you like for me to go for the 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions? Or would you like for me to go last season before that when it was 19 touchdowns and 14 interceptions? I mean, come on, man. Come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Why are we pretending like these situations don't exist? Why are we pretending like Jameis Winston wasn't throwing interceptions all in college, okay? Why? Because he won a Heisman? Why? You know what I'm saying? His last season. Don't take my word for it. Go back and look at his stats, okay? He has always had issues with turning the ball over. Always had an issue with turning the ball over. So it is what it is. Tampa is a cesspool. It may be a cesspool, but I mean, it was always a cesspool. But what that got to do with him turning the ball over and a whole bunch of interceptions? Man, no one is bashing him. His interceptions to touchdown ratio is horrible for his whole career. Man, man. Look, Keenan Arthur, check this out, man. People always seem to get upset when you tell them the truth about a player when it comes to the Saints. Okay, they always get mad because, oh, you talking about this person? Oh, give him a chance. But I guarantee you, if we probably go back on their social media pages, I guarantee you'll probably see them saying something negative about Jameis Winston. But now we're supposed to eliminate all that stuff, and we're not supposed to state the obvious now because he has a black and gold uniform on. Man, cry me a river. Go back and look at the stats, okay? Go back and look at his stats. Go back and look at him, okay? If you're not looking at his stats and you're saying, man, you a hater. Man, you hating, bro. Man, you hating on Jameis. Nah, no, don't sit in front of your screen and just be like, man, he hating. Go back and look at the stats. Go back and look at them stats and then tell me if you feel differently about it. If you're not looking at the stats, be quiet. That's all I got to say. If you just going about what I see, which a lot of people for some apparent reason always do, you know what I'm saying? Like they always want to try to, talk about what I say, and then I'm only telling you what I'm seeing as far as stats, and what the stats say. He turns the ball over at an alarming rate. Sorry if I'm hurting your feelings about Jameis Winston, but it is the truth. He turns the ball over at an alarming rate. And that is a problem that can't easily be fixed. It can't. If you think that you think just because Sean Payton is his quarterback whisperer, his offensive coordinator, if you think that is going to stop him from turning the ball over, Sean Payton can't make decisions for him. Sean Payton can't read through the progression for him. He has to deliver the ball where it needs to be. So it is what it is. Somebody said that's a dumb take. Oh, well, if it's a dumb take, it's only a dumb take once again from people who don't look at stats. It's also a dumb take from people that don't really take the time to do any research. And honestly, no offense, but if you're saying that my take is dumb and you don't look at stats and you don't look at research, then honestly, you just wasting your time, man. And man, like seriously, like you can say whatever you want. You can talk about scheme. You can talk about all that stuff. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back and let's talk about schemes, right? Let's look at Scott Mitchell, right? Let's look at Scott Mitchell back in the days, okay? You know what I'm saying? Played for the Dolphins for a little while. You know, then he ended up leaving, going from the Dolphins to the Detroit Lions. They took and they put the same type of scheme that the Miami Dolphins had with him, and they brought it to the Detroit Lions. And he sucked, okay? You can look at so many other these quarterbacks that have come through the spot where teams have taken their scheme and brought it to that organization that traded for them or signed them, and they still couldn't get the job done, okay? We're talking about Florida State and we're talking about Tampa. Now, you're going to sit up here and say that that Florida State didn't have the talent for Jameis Winston to deliver the ball. Florida State, when Jameis Winston was there, was one of the top teams in the country. So my question is to you, my friend, and for that person that said it's about scheme, what was the issue when it came to Florida State? Why wasn't he getting the ball where it needed to be at Florida State? Huh? What was it? What was it then? Oh, it was about Tampa. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. So let's keep on. Let's keep moving the goalpost further and further back. You can be in denial all you want to, and that's fine. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to, tell you how to think about Jameis Winston. I'm telling you what I see, and what I see is a guy that turns the ball over at an alarming rate. So look at Carson Palmer's first season with Arians. Look at Andrew Luck's first season with Arians. Not saying isn't a problem. Trust me. Look at Carson Palmer's first season with Arians. Okay, let's look at his first season with Arians. But let's also look at, okay, if you're talking about changing of the schemes, okay, Andrew Luck turned the ball over with you know what I'm saying, like Chuck Pagano as his coach. Without Chuck Pagano as his coach, okay? Bruce Arians was not the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, when Chuck Pagano got diagnosed with cancer, he coached a few games. But when Chuck Pagano came back, you know what I'm saying, he still had the same type of issues. So don't tell me that, oh, man, it's Bruce Arians. Man, please, save me the BS when it comes to that, because that is definitely not true. That is definitely not true. So you can say it was his scheme or whatever like that, but he still always turned over the ball. And then Andrew Luck has always turned over the football, no matter if Bruce Arians was there or not. So you can't say, oh, I mean, what happened, you know what I'm saying, when Bruce Arians wasn't the coach? What happened when Bruce Arians was not the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Last time I checked, Jameis Winston was still turning over the ball at an alarming rate. So we can't just sit up here and blame Bruce Arians. You got to look at who's the quarterback of this team. Jameis Winston kind of reminds me of a turnover-prone Teddy B. Again, I'm a Buck fan. Now is a perfect time to clown y'all for having Jameis being, but I'm being real, okay? Look at the highlights from the interception. A lot of those throws are just horrible, either directly to defenders or shouldn't have been thrown. He isn't even being pressured as well. Yeah, same thing is going to go down with Grandpa Bay. They will bring some of Belichick's scheme and plays, but Brady will not do as well. But there are ways to protect the guy from his flaws. Run the ball more, shorter passes, things like that. He was the OC and play call my guy. Okay, yeah, all right. He was the play caller, but what does that have to do with them making decisions? That's all I want to know. What did it have to do with him making the decisions? Is Bruce Arians out there telling these guys to, you know what I'm saying, where to get the ball? Are these guys, is he out there, man, read this, read that? You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys have to make the right decision. They have to understand, okay, if this guy isn't open, I got to check down to this guy. So I'm not sitting up here playing this game, man. Like, yeah, Bruce Arians wants to throw the ball and get the ball down the field, but it's up to the guy to make the right decisions. And these guys haven't been making the right decisions. They don't make the right decisions. So I'm not going to put that on just Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is a really good football coach. He wants to throw the football. So, but I'm not going to pretend like, oh man, it's Bruce Arians' fault. Nah, man. Every scheme requires you to have good decision making and timing accuracy. Schemes can only do so much. I'm looking in the chat. I want to know why we making all these excuses for Jameis. Because Iceman T play for the Saints now. That's what it is. You know, like we like to be in denial because we Saints fans. Some of us, we like to be in denial, so we try to make excuses. And we know, like I said, unless we went out here and we just deleted our statuses, I guarantee you the people that's talking the most probably was laughing, making fun of Jameis Winston, and talking about the misfortunes of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he was their quarterback. And now that he played for the Saints, oh man, give him a chance. Oh, we gotta give him an opportunity. Oh man, we gotta give him an opportunity. He up next. Man, come on, man. Knock it off. Y'all going to turn the ball over more if you're throwing more than everyone in the league because you have no run game and worse, D in the league. Jameis decisions isn't bad. The wide receiver makes decisions on the top of the routes. I'm even going. Okay, I'm trying to figure out why we think after a guy been turning the ball over half a decade that he just gonna wake up and play better. I don't know, Iceman T. Drew Brees against the Vikings was all decision making and he failed miserably. That was terrible. You know what I'm saying? That was terrible that he played, you know what I'm saying, the game that he played against the Minnesota Vikings. It was horrible, you know. And anybody that's seen them videos that I put out, everybody know where I stood. I went on there and I took a lot of criticism and I took a lot of backlash because I said the reason why the Saints lost that game was because of Drew Brees, okay? So if I'm going to critique and I'm going to criticize all-time leading passer and a future Hall of Famer, trust and believe, man, I ain't afraid to criticize nobody, okay? So I'm not one of those people that pretend like these problems don't arise and they don't exist. I call a spade a spade. And right now, that spade is Jameis Winston is not a good quarterback at this point of his career. If Jameis an all-time great, then Cam Newton the GOAT, right? I honestly think it's funny the Panthers spent $64 million on Teddy Two Gloves. He is serviceable, but he's not half as good as Killer Cam. Well, you know, man, he earned the right to go out there and get a starting quarterback job, man, Teddy B. So I'm rooting for him. I want to see Teddy B succeed. TJ, man, I've been a Saints fan since the Dome Patrol. We have seen mediocrity at quarterback. Just because you are a gunslinger, it doesn't mean you'll turn the ball over, man. Get who that nation in check. Yeah, man. Like I said, they want a guy that's gonna throw the ball all over the place. They think that a guy that, you know, that's been throwing, like Iceman T said, that has thrown interceptions half of his life is gonna automatically wake up in the morning and just be just as elite as a Tom Brady. Where they do that at is what I'm asking. Jameis is not that good for real, for real. Had one good season, and even then, he threw 30 interceptions. Who's to say that was a good season? I'm just being real. Who's to say that was a good season? Who's to say that last season for Jameis Winston was a good season? It wasn't a good season. This guy threw for 5,109 yards, and that's straight up 100% empty calories. That is ice cream You know what I'm saying? That is potato chips. That is what that is. That is empty calories. You threw for 5,000 yards, but you threw for 5,000 yards because you threw for like 3 or 4 picks in a game, and you had to throw your team back into the game. That's nothing, man. That's a waste of time. That's irrelevant. That's pitiful. You know? So just because you throw for 5,000 yards don't mean that it's a good 5,000 yards. This is empty calorie stats. The only person that these stats were helping probably was the fantasy football league somewhere. And I'm pretty sure he probably put those people in a hole. I mean, I'm not going to throw a parade, and I'm not going to turn backflips just because this guy threw for 5,000 yards. That ain't impressive, man, when you're the reason why your team was losing in the first place. Jameis still has a ton of potential. I'm not saying that he don't. I'm saying right now at this moment, he is not a good quarterback at this moment in time. Because I know somebody going to be like, man, I remember when you was talking about Jameis. And I don't want nobody, if he turned his career around or resurrected, man, you said he wasn't that good. At this particular time, okay, at this particular moment, he is not a good quarterback, okay? He is not a good quarterback. You are not a good quarterback if you have these type of interceptions, okay? If you have this touchdown interception ratio, I don't care how many yards you're throwing for, you are not a good quarterback. Sorry. Do you think we'll be able to turn his career around and trade him for a profit? If we get a solid player or a draft pick for him in a year or two, who cares? Andrew, he only signed a 1-year deal. Okay, so who's to say that he just not making one brief stop in New Orleans and he might end up going to another team? I don't know. So unless the Saints are going to be committed to him down the line, and maybe, you know what I'm saying, they can resurrect his career and get some trade value going for him. But right now, you know, he only signed a 1-year deal. Bottom line, we messed up when we didn't draft Jordan Love. I agree. You sound like Yogi Bear with that other voice. Hear the boo-boo. Hey. Bottom line, I don't want Taysom Hill as our quarterback of the future. I mean, I haven't seen enough out of Taysom in order for me to say that, okay? I feel like this. I feel like Taysom Hill gets a better shot from me than Jameis Winston does, because the only knock that we really have on Taysom is the fact that we haven't seen him really perform in a game, and we haven't seen a complete body of work. I can live with that, okay? I can live with that. You know, so I'm not going to give Taysom a harder time than I've given Jameis, a guy who had been starting since day one and has thrown more picks than Razor Ramon. You know what I'm saying? Who had more picks than a pig in a blanket. You get what I'm saying? Like, I want people to understand that Taysom Hill, the only reason why we are very skeptical about him is the fact that we haven't seen much out of him. Okay, so that's my only knock. But I understand, you know, if you're skeptical about Taysom. TJ praising Jameis for 5,000 yards but cost the team the game is like wanting credit for saving someone from drowning when you're the one who pushed them in. Exactly. Honest question. Why don't Sean develop a young quarterback? Don't know. That's a good question. Jameis must have hurt you bad. Nah, Jameis didn't hurt me. Jameis been really, really good to me. Jameis has been really good to the Who Dat Nation. I think we all can agree to that. Jameis Winston has really been good. Jameis Winston has been like the 54th man of the New Orleans Saints, okay? Because every time he plays the Saints, we can always count on him for an interception or two, okay? He has been contributing to helping defensive players make the Pro Bowl from the New Orleans Saints since he came into the league. So he ain't hurt me at all, my friend. I beg to differ. He has been very good to me and the Who Dat Nation. TJ Jones, a.k.a. Yogi Bear. Hey, that boo-boo. Gonna get another picnic basket? Why you think we gave Pete a big contract? You think we're going to can Armstead due to injury and insert Pete? Calvin, no, that's not the case right here. I'm going to be honest with you, and I might be in denial. This is where I may be delusional. Okay. Andrews Pete is a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. And we all know that the Saints are going to have to make a transition. This is probably going to be Drew Brees' last year. And they're going to have a young quarterback, whether it is Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. And we all know the best friend of a young quarterback is a running game. Andrews Pete, whether you like him or not, Andrews Pete is a really good run blocker. And this dates back to when he was at Stanford, where Stanford actually really ran the ball a lot, 30, 40 times a game. And Andrews Pete, who was a left tackle at the time, was a key contributor to the success of the Cardinals. So I feel like the reason why they signed him to a deal is because they realized they're going to have to change up their offense when Drew Brees leaves. You're not going to be able to count on Drew Brees' production throwing the ball all over the place and getting the ball down the field. You're going to have to really kind of slowly, gradually bring this young quarterback in, and you help him out with a running game. So I think by signing Andrews Pete, they feel like, he'll be a contributor to the running game. But like I said, I could be in denial with that. We all know that the Saints have had an issue running the football. Dude been in the league 5 years, didn't make the playoff once. What up, TJ? Love your work. What's going on, Wayne? Jameis has been playing like trash the last few seasons. I think we've been forcing the ball too much because he has anxiety problems. He needs some Xanax and he will be fine. You only slept him once, so yeah, he hurt y'all. Nah, Jameis Winston ain't never hurt the Saints. Ever at all. He ain't never. Honestly, man, Tampa Bay has never really been a true threat to the Saints since Jameis Winston has been a quarterback. I think Taysom, the future, his arm is stronger than Brees, and he's definitely more athletic. His preseason was better than Teddy B last season. Once fully given a chance, I think he'll be great. The only concern I have about Taysom Hill coming into the New Orleans Saints as a starting quarterback is the fact that I feel like his song and dance might end up being figured out. And it won't be because of him. It's going to be because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Taysom Hill got kind of like the same similar skill set. And teams are doing to Lamar Jackson what they're going to possibly be doing to Taysom Hill when he becomes the starter. So I feel like by Taysom Hill not being a starting quarterback yet and Lamar Jackson being a starter, teams are going to be able to zero in on Lamar and figure out what stops him or quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. So I feel like that's going to kind of hurt Taysom Hill if he becomes a starter. But I mean, I still believe that he has the athletic tools to win some games for the Saints. Why do y'all think that being critical and objective about a player means you hate them? You don't have to kiss the player's butt to show support. Anyway, who supports you will tell what you need to hear. Yeah, I mean, King Arthur, look, people, that just the easiest cop-out ever. People call me a hater. I get emails all the time, people talking about you hating. I was talking to a guy, this morning, and he was talking about how I'm trying to divide the Who Dat Nation because, I did like a 3-part series on Drew Brees. Of course, we know about his comments last week. I'm like, my job is to, is to talk about the Saints and give my opinion. I never, one time said that my opinion was more correct than the other person's opinion. But that's the easiest cop-out. People like, you're a hater, you're a hater, you're a hater. And honestly, I wouldn't mind being called that, which I don't care. But majority of the people that's calling me that don't really have any concrete evidence or be able to combat against anything that I'm saying at all. They listen to what I'm saying, and then they'll say something like, man, you're a hater. But I'm like, why am I a hater? Because Drew Brees the best quarterback in the league. Okay, the best quarterback in the league. What does that have to do with anything? Man, you hating. They don't have no response for that. So if you don't have a response and you ain't coming through with no research, you ain't coming through with no background checking, then, it's irrelevant. You just talking off emotion. You're not using any type of logic at all. I use logic every time I get behind this video screen. Anytime I'm talking to you all, I use logic. I never get up here and just talk based on just giving you just a bunch of nonsense. I won't even do a video if that means that I am going to give you all nonsense. That's just what it is. I won't even do a video that day if I'm not passionate about what I'm saying, or I'm not being responsible as far as like doing research to give you all my opinion. I don't do that. But people are going to call people haters when they don't understand things, which I have no problem with. I be ripping them. Thank you very much for the $5. He says, my only concern is I don't think Jameis can fart the way Drew Brees can fart. Because Drew gets them old man farts that show to keep defenders away. I be ripping them. Thank you very much for the $5, man. Saints fans, we so used to losing, so we hang on to any player we think plays well. Yep, it's ridiculous. I agree. I agree with that, Iceman T, to a certain extent. Like Saints fans, we just love to hold on to the days of yesteryear, and we try to suck every bit of talent and ability and everything about that player. And even when that player's talent has diminished, we still feel like we got to be loyal to that person. So we got to pretend like those problems don't exist, which I feel like we need to stop. And I feel like a person that is not afraid to be critical of a team that they love, I feel like that's the definition of a true fan. I feel like people that's being in denial, I feel like, you just basically playing yourself. I'll be ripping them. Thank you for the $2. Said fart lives matter. Thank you very much, man. But I feel like this, I say this from time to time. It's like your family, right? Your family loves you. Sometimes your family is critical of you. That don't mean they don't love you because they want to give you some tough love, right? So what's the difference? TJ, tell them constructive criticism is meant to help a person. Kissing butt will have you in Antonio Brown's situation. He obviously doesn't have the right people in his corner being real with him. That's true. And that's the reason why you shouldn't do that. I always say, man, I thank God that he made me this way. I'm the friend that out of all my friends, there's 5 of us collectively, best friends. We went to college together. I'm the friend that gives the other friends tough love. And I'm not, and they'll get mad at me too, man. There's been times where these guys don't talk to me, for weeks, and then they'll call me back, be like, man, I just know what you was doing. I just didn't need to hear that right now. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you telling me. That's just the type of person that I am. I love the New Orleans Saints. I love the team with a passion. And, I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be real. Like, I can't be like one of those podcasters, and I can't be like one of those Saints Facebook and social media pages that just BS you. You know what I'm saying? I just can't be. I just can't be that type of person. I can't. I can't. I rather lose subscribers, lose followers than to be something that I'm not. I'm sorry, folks. I'd rather lose subscribers and lose followers than to be something that I am not. I didn't get into this to make money. And I appreciate, when people donate and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't get into this to make money. I didn't get into this to, for everybody to know my name. I just did it because I love it. I do it because I love it. And I'm going to continue to be the way that I am, folks. Josh and Jesus, thank you very much for the $2. He says, big respect to you for hearing my side of things. Dwayne for the $1.99 said, I'm late. What's up? What's going on, Dwayne? Josh, man, of course, man. Look, we're not here on this earth to think the same way. Okay, we're not. If God wanted us all to be the same, we all would have looked the same. We all would act the same. We have to respect one another. Now, I respect everybody. Sometimes I would not agree with a person's point of view, but I will defend the hell out of them for, being able to say what they want to say and how they want to say it. So we cannot close our ears off just because somebody thinks differently from us. We'll never get where we need to be as people, and we'll never get where we need to be as fans. Okay, so I think one thing that we need to stop doing is living in this bubble. You know what I'm saying? And anything, anybody that tries to penetrate that bubble, we try to, fight them to the death. Can't be like that, man. You miss out on a lot of great things, and you miss out on a lot of good commentary, and you miss out on growing and allowing that other person to grow. Because the conversation that you can have with a person may be that conversation that they need to change their perspective and understand yours. So that's something that a little bit of food for thought for y'all. If we gave Drew and Sean Payton nothing but praise, we would be in a car with no brakes. It would be a train wreck just letting the organization give us half-ass performances. That's true, Debo. Why does it hurt people so bad to criticize the team? I just don't understand it. This is what I don't understand. You know, I don't understand like why Saints fans believe that just because you criticize the team mean you're not a true fan. I know I'm a true fan. And I don't even buy into the nonsense. Like I don't buy into that nonsense because if you know that you're a real fan of a team, nobody can tell you anything differently. And then on top of that, you know, like I feel like I got enough skins on the wall. I feel like a lot of people that's in the chat got a lot of skins on the wall. Been Saints fans before all this winning started to take place. So I feel like we know what we're talking about. So if they feel like, oh, I'm not a true fan, if I criticize Drew Brees or criticize Sean Payton, then that's their prerogative, not mine. Charles Barkley told Jordan that he had too many yes men. Now they aren't friends. Well, sometimes you got to lose friends sometime, man, when you tell them the truth. TJ, I don't understand why BLM doesn't call for one thing that will actually empower them, which is the repeal of the law against resisting an officer. If a citizen right to self-defense applies. Well, you know, I mean, I don't know, man. Hopefully some things change, man. You know, I just hope that we just reach a common ground. I hope people just start to understand one another. I hope that we just cut out the middleman, which is the media, who is trying to inflame these sides in order for us to continue to hate one another. I just wish people would actually just wake up and realize that there is a war going on, and it's not just between black and white. You know what I'm saying? It's against everybody, because I feel like the world just wants us to hate each other, to divide one another for their own personal gain. I look at the statistics of these news stations that their money is increasing every single year by inflaming this hate between both sides. I feel like we as people are in denial because we watch one news outlet and we feel like that news outlet is the one that's telling us the truth. We judge one another based on the color of our skin, and we never really have full conversations with one another. We look at television shows, we look at the news, and we allow those people to tell us about each other's culture, but we don't take the time out to sit down and talk to each other about one another's culture. We think that we have everything figured out because, you know, we think that the news tell us this is what it is. Until we become open-minded, until we actually sit down and have conversations with each other, until we are not afraid to jump over that fence and have a conversation and sit down and figure out what the true essence of the problem is, the rich media people are going to continue to get richer, and we are going to continue to get poor. Poor in knowledge, poor in unity, poor in love. That is just the truth of the matter, okay? So the only ones winning right now is not the black race, is not the white race, it's the media. They're the ones that's winning because we're the ones that's losing because now we're so afraid to actually talk to each other, and that's exactly what they want. So new Superdome renovations coming from 2020 to 2024. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm starting to get tired of Superdome. I think we need a new stadium. Similarities give you common ground to stand on. Differences give you an opinion to learn something new. I agree. Exactly, TJ. The powers that be want me to hate you as a black man and you to hate me as a white man, because that keeps us focused on each other so we don't team up and focus on BS they doing. That's true. I mean, that's just true. But I don't hate nobody just because they white. I don't. You know, I don't hate anybody. I don't have any. I just wish that, you know, sometimes like the way that some people think, I wish they I wish they would change their minds a little bit, man. Like some things on the Saints page really bother me. And I know we kind of getting away from football, but I don't want to do that. But just on my Saints page, man, people are just really upset, and you really starting to see like just hate being spewed. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. Like I said, I just think it has a lot to do with our lack of understanding of each other's culture. And if you're not taking the opportunity to actually have conversations with people and, of the opposite race, and you're just sitting at the barbershop with your homeboys and y'all be talking about what the white man is doing, or if you're at the white barbershop, you talking about what the black people doing, and you're not really going out here and having conversations with each other, then shame on you, man. Shame on you. Because that's not helping anything. I love my Saints, but I tell it like it is. Deuce McAllister averaged 7.3 yards a carry in 2006 playoffs. Sean didn't run Deuce wild against Chicago. It still hurts 14 years later. I agree. I agree with that. But we all know Sean likes his players. That's the reason why I feel like Latavius Murray wasn't used as much last season. We live in a world where if you believe something different from the consensus, something must be wrong with you. Man, that's true. But it wasn't always like that, but that's how it is now. People like to put labels on people, and people are afraid of labels. And I always find it very funny, how we allow ourselves and our self-esteem to go down because we allow people that don't know us from a can of paint to label us. And I used to be like that, man. Like I used to be one of those people. I wanted everybody to kind of like me, and so I'll try to play play the field, and just try to get people to really like what I'm doing. And it used to really bother me when people didn't like me. So I was one of those people that used to fall into that category about when people put labels on me, it scared me. But not anymore, man. Like, be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, be who you are. But I say that to say this: don't allow somebody to make you who you are. Be who you are because you had that conversation with yourself. You had that process where you were able to sit at home and analyze and say, okay, man, this is the way that I feel. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. Okay, so you can go out here and say, okay, I'm for this, but if you don't have a strong enough mind, then people are going to be able to persuade you otherwise. So just be yourself, man. And also, man, don't be afraid. Like, how can a person way in, I don't know, Kalamazoo, Michigan somewhere tell you, oh, you're a racist? You never had a conversation with me. You never talked to me. You never, sat down with me. You don't know the type of things that I go through on a consistent basis. How can somebody do that? And a lot of people ask me, how can I give people a platform and let them talk? Because I don't know these people. Like, we're so quick to talk to each other and say, oh, man, that person a racist. Understand, people have different backgrounds, man. People come from different walks of life. The problem is when you allow that walk of life to dictate your thinking to a point where you don't want to listen to anybody else, because this is the way that I grew up, and this is the way that I think, and this is the way that it is. No. Okay, I grew up in the Ninth Ward of New Orleans. Okay, somebody on here might have grew up in East Over somewhere. Somebody might have grew up in the suburbs out there, in New Orleans East or in Metairie somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And they're growing up in that area might have been completely different from where I grew up. So I can't fault them for them thinking the way that they do if that's all they seen. Okay, but I can bring you into the things that I've seen, and I would appreciate you being open-minded and vice versa. Excuse me. Josh and Jesus says, what are the chances we start Keith Washington? You talking about Dwayne Washington? Dwayne Washington, I don't know who Keith Washington is. Keith Washington was a singer, wasn't he? I remember Keith Washington, the R&B singer back. He was on the episode of Martin that time when Gina used to date him back in the day, and Martin was upset. He was jealous of him. That was one of my favorite episodes. Give respect and get respect. I agree. TJ, when did we become so sensitive as a society? How did we get to a point where people will shun the truth in favor of something that makes them feel better? We choose feelings over actuality. I agree. We got a corner named Keith Washington. He's good out of West Virginia. Okay, I gotta read up on him, Josh. I apologize. I apologize. I'm about to say Keith Washington, man. It sound like the R&B singer. I grew up in the 13th Ward, Uptown New Orleans. Yeah, man, we got people that come from all different walks of life. But back to Jameis Winston, man. I feel like Jameis Winston will be. I think he will be one of those quarterbacks that be middle of the pack throughout his career. Let's see. Keith Washington is an undrafted free agent corner. We signed him from West Virginia. Yeah, so let me look him up real quick. Let's look him up real quick. I'm looking up Keith Washington right now. Let's see what it says. Okay, he's 6'2", 170 pounds, small guy. Come from Platteville, Alabama. Now they said the Saints have signed him. So let's see what we got here. Okay, he did an interview with the Saints. I'll make sure I put that up for y'all. It'll be on the Facebook page. He's small though, man. 6'1", 181 pounds. That's I can say, well, from the look at his size and his length, looks like he probably gonna be playing a nickel, and also on special teams if he actually makes the team. So I have to sit down and really just kind of see his stats before I give you a real assessment, because I'm just right now I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now. But looking at his size and weight, it looked like he'll be playing in a slot. Keith Washington has good R&B potential. I'll take having a 5,000-yard backup any day, no risk, no foul. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no harm, no foul. We label people in situations because by nature we want a shortcut to the final result. We do this to move on quickly from person to person and situation to situation to avoid truly learning people. I agree. Josh and Jesus said, look at his highlights. I'll check out his highlights at the end of this live, man. I definitely do that. I'm probably going to go live again tonight, man. I'm at, like y'all already know behind me, man, I'm at work. I'm probably going to be going live tonight because, number one, I want to give people opportunity to, to call in on the line and stuff like that so we can talk about Jameis Winston a little bit more and get your perspective on Jameis Winston. So we're going to be going live tonight. We're going to be taking phone calls and, so y'all be on the lookout. Probably going to be around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be going live once again from when I get home. League is planning on removing 2 preseason games. Now, they should do that. How are people in South Carolina dealing with the situation? To be honest with you, the people in South Carolina, they've been protesting. You got people that's a little bit scared and stuff like that because of the protests. I think people don't know how to differentiate protest from rioting. So when people hear the word protest, they automatically mean that their businesses gonna get wrecked up. My girl, who's a nurse practitioner, she is the only black nurse practitioner that they have, and she works with majority, people that are white. And when they were talking about protests, she said she felt a little bit, a little bit offended by the fact that the person in her office said that, oh, they protesting right down the street from where her office is, and y'all press the panic button if something happened. And she was like, nobody trying to do nothing. I mean, it's peaceful protest, so people are coming out, man, not just black people. I mean, people of all different colors and creed are marching and protesting in the name of equality. So that's the best thing about all of this, man, that we're not, whether you for the protest or not, man, I'm just all for people just doing things peacefully. That's it. But South Carolina, I mean, you still got some people out here who want the South to rise once again. But, I just feel like, in my opinion, man, it's over with for all this racism and stuff. Now, I have no problem with people, that think a certain way, but I have no time for racist people, people that are bigots, and that just man, just have hate all in their heart. I ain't got no time for that. If you can't listen, then I can't talk to you. If we can't have good dialogue, I ain't trying to hear nothing. If you think about it, civil rights haven't been advanced. It made any move since the 1960s. So you saying that it hasn't moved? That's interesting. It's about time for a progressive change. I don't think about Jameis Winston hasn't had a proper coach to develop his skill set. The Buccaneers replied on him winning the national championship to actually NFL level play. Yeah, that's some interesting points right there. Like I said, a lot of people who latched on to the success of Jameis Winston and capitalized on it. I remember the days when Minister Farrakhan and the KKK would regularly come to each other's aid to defend each other's right to speak. Yeah, I mean, those days are long gone, though, man. Those days are long gone. I was looking at, and it's crazy that you said that, though, Josh and Jesus. I was actually listening to like an old 1963 interview with some civil rights leaders. I think with James Farmer, it was the editor of Ebony magazine, and it was Malcolm X. And I just remember the four guys like just sitting up there, and Malcolm X had a completely different ideology of these guys. But the thing about it was he allowed them to talk. He allowed them to talk and speak, and they allowed him to talk and speak. They weren't cutting each other off. They weren't, hold on, wait a minute now, wait a minute. All for the purpose of television, like how people do. Like you put a Republican on one side, a Democrat on the other side, and you have the mediator in the middle. Oh, calm down, guys. It wasn't none of that. It was four guys at a table. They listened to each other. They gave each other the opportunity to speak, and they had the moderator in the middle. And nobody cut nobody off. And the interview was probably about an hour. That was missing in this world. You got too many people out here that's too educated that they feel like nobody can't tell them nothing. I'm right, you wrong, and ain't nothing you can do about it. I'm more qualified to speak than you. Miss me with that stuff. Miss me with that, okay? I look. I spent over $100,000. I'm about $100,000 in debt when it comes to education. I will never ever just walk out here and just be like, man, I went to school, I went to college, I went to grad school. You can't tell me nothing. No. I can learn something from a guy who has some Jack Daniels standing outside a corner store. That's the way I look at it. I mean, for real, like that's the way I look at it. So I think we all just need to respect one another. Peaceful protest, yes, but threatening people's lives is not peaceful. I don't think any of us stand for that. Oh yeah, absolutely not. Nah, threatening people's life, like sending Drew Brees death threats, him and his wife. Nah, I ain't about that. People really want others in jail for wrong speak these days. We could use some genuine dialogue. But see, that's dying, Andrew. That's dying. Because when the media has found out that split screens can generate so much money, that's when everybody just started to lose their doggone minds. When you got two people that's splitting screens and you got these people going back and forth with each other for others' entertainment and basically telling people, well, choose this side, choose that side. That's when dialogue died, in my opinion. Nobody's really, like, honestly, be 100. When you watch some of your favorite news channels and they have people that are for one way and another person for another way, how many of those dialogues that you see where you see guys at the end of it saying, you know what, man, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're right. I was wrong. Maybe I need to think about this, or man, I ain't never think about it like that before. Hey, how many times have y'all seen that happen? It doesn't happen. So that tells you everything you need to know right there. Real quick, TJ, when the last time you had a cold cup or some nachos or hot sausage po' boy? Man, it's been a while. Probably last time I went down to New Orleans when the last time I went to New Orleans? The last time I went to New Orleans was when WrestleMania was down there. I went to WrestleMania. with my fiance, who was my then girlfriend at the time. So that's the last time I went down there. Which I had a very interesting story. I actually lost my keys in the Superdome. Yes, I lost my keys in the Superdome at WrestleMania. The seat that I was in, I lost my keys, and I'll never forget this because me and my fiance was staying in an Airbnb at that time, and I remember us packing up our clothes around 5 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden, I realized that the keys were missing. So I ended up calling the Superdome, and they were like, "Well, we got to clean up, and we got to wait for them to find them in the lost and found." Yada 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 yada. So I kept on calling the Superdome over and over again. Then around 10, 11 o'clock that afternoon, some just told me, "Man, I'm about to just go up in here." So I went up there in the front, and a nice lady that worked in security allowed me to go to my seat and actually find the keys. And the thing about it is, they were saying I had to wait for them to clean up. And around 10, 11 o'clock that morning, the Superdome was still trash because of WrestleMania. So I still would possibly have been in New Orleans if if that nice lady that works security at the front desk of the Superdome wouldn't have let me go upstairs and get my keys. So that's a story that's always I can always have to say, anytime, I think about the Superdome, the time I lost my keys. But anyway, is Jameis Winston an all-time great? Come on, man. That's like asking if Sean Payton could pass a drug test. Plus, if he was uninformed with no knowledge on the subject. Common sense is a valuable tool to have. A lot of people don't have common sense rationalities, okay? I think we all agree, gotta have change with white friends standing right behind me, but media tries to put us on each other. Yep, I'm black and I feel like everybody should have their freedom of speech. Yeah, I believe that too. I think we all should have our freedom of speech. Before I get up out of here, man, I want to just talk about Dennis Allen, okay? I know we've been at it for about an hour now, but I want to talk about Dennis Allen. And Dennis Allen had some very interesting comments for his defense. And he was saying, asking them, man, are y'all going to be making excuses? The fact that we aren't having OTAs and training camp, or you're going to come in and be in really good shape? So Dennis Allen is basically challenging his defense to not make excuses, to come in prime shape and ready to play. Look, I think the Saints have guys that are professionals. I think these guys understand that their body is their investment. You got to be able to invest in yourself. You got to take your job serious. You shouldn't have anybody that has to oversee you and watch you do things. If you're a professional, if you want to be great, if you want to be playing and be on the field, you'll work out. And you don't need Sean Payton and Dennis Allen and all these other defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators to tell you what to do. So Dennis Allen, I know a lot of people are kind of sour on him. Everybody kind of frustrated how his defense has performed late in games. But Dennis Allen, in my opinion, I think he's a really decent defensive coordinator. I don't want to say a good or a great because I'll be lying to you. I don't think he's good, and I don't think he's great. I think he's decent. I think he's a guy that can, get the Saints over the hump. I just think that the Saints defense needs to be a little bit more opportunistic. I'm more concerned about the linebackers coach because I feel like Mike Nolan going to the Dallas Cowboys to become their new defensive coordinator is really going to hurt the New Orleans Saints. I think that Mike Nolan is a really underrated coach. I think that the reason why the linebackers played really well last season was because of Mike Nolan. I think that Demario Davis becoming a first-team All-Pro had a lot to do with Mike Nolan. So I'm interested to see how the linebackers are going to play this season and what the new coach is going to do. Look, man, I can't take any more excuses. I'm not going to make any more excuses about the Saints defense because I don't have any more to give. I'm not going to sit up here and tell people, well, the reason why they lost because of defense, they lost this person, that person. This defense has pretty much been intact with each other for almost 4 years. If you've been playing with a person for like 4 years, 4 seasons, there's no excuse for you not to be able to be where you need to be. there's not a reason why you guys can't have conversations and good communication. And if you're not having good conversation and communication, then maybe somebody on the defensive coordinating side needs to be fired. I think that this could be possibly the last year for Dennis Allen. The fact that Dennis Allen's defense has wet the bed on 3 different occasions, in my honest opinion. And I'm kind of tired of watching these guys just give up big plays and big parts of the game. And until they stop doing that, they're not going to get the respect that they deserve. Now, I will concede and say that the New Orleans Saints defense has improved over the last few years versus like 2014, 2015, where they couldn't stop a nosebleed, they couldn't stop traffic, they couldn't stop a cab in New York, they couldn't do none of that. So I will concede and say it's been better. But what does it mean if that means that 58 seconds are left on the clock and you still lose a game because of the defense? It means absolutely nothing. It just gives these people that's hating on them wiggle room, okay, to say that they suck. Okay, or the people that don't really want to talk about them room to not be able to talk about them, because now, you know what I'm saying, the Saints being a really good team in the league, they're not getting the respect they deserve because they feel like the inevitable is going to happen, which is the defense giving up a big play in later parts of the game. And until they stop that, until they can actually close a game, I have to say I agree with people not really giving them any type of respect, because the real true defenses, tough defenses, are able to close. Okay, so if you're not able to close, then you're not a good defense. You're okay defense. You're average defense. You know, so they got to be able to learn how to close. So hopefully this secondary can be better. Hopefully these linebackers can stay healthy and play sideline to sideline. And hopefully we won't have issues when it comes to guys being out of position and not knowing what their assignment is. So Dennis Allen is absolutely right. These guys got to come in being ready and willing and not being out of shape and not using the pandemic as an excuse to why they're not where they need to be. I'm going to answer a few more questions, then we're going to get up out of here. Right, TJ, no excuses. We have the talent. Dennis Allen is about as average as defensive coordinator in the NFL you can get. Your corners have gotten worse. Linebackers are out of position. And the line doesn't get that much rush. Yeah, I mean, there are some issues that the Saints need to clean up. But, I mean, like I said, Dennis Allen is not a good defensive coordinator, not a great one. He's just average. And Saints just need to learn how to close. So we're an above-average defense with an average defensive coordinator. I guess so, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess if that's how you want to put it. I mean, they're an above average defense because, you know, they can make stops throughout the game. What makes them, you know what I'm saying, what makes them average is the fact that late in games, when you have to call certain defensive packages, it's not getting it done. So, I mean, they need to elevate. I'm happy they locked Eli Apple out of the Superdome with his stiff neck and can't turn around for the ball. Our defense bends but doesn't break to the end of the season. But we unravel during the tail end of the season to the playoffs. Well, I mean, honestly, I'll be real with you. I'd rather them skate into the playoffs and play lights out throughout the playoffs than for them to play regular season-wise and do this and do that and play good and then make it to the playoffs and wet the bed. That's the point I'm at. I just want the Saints to run the football and play good defense. You know, that's what I want to see. I want to see the running game improve, and I want to see the defense improve. Until those things happen, then we're going to still have these same issues. We're going to be a really good team who can't get over the hump. We're going to be close, but no cigars. And eventually, time is going to run out, and we're no longer going to be able to count on, you know, Drew Brees bailing us out offensively. And we're not going to be able to count on some of these players because we're not going to be able to keep everybody. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all very much for your comments, those that comment. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast. And also check out facebook.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast. And special shout out once again to my guy, Jai Anderson from Lanyap Legends. Lanyap Legends is available on YouTube. I did an interview with them, and I want to thank him for, thanking me and, allowing me to be a part of his podcast. So y'all subscribe to the channel, Lanyap Legends, and y'all check out the interview, man. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Also, man, I appreciate everybody for in the chat, respecting people's opinions when we, reach that political version of the State of the Saints podcast. Appreciate everybody's point of view. I appreciate the fact that, some of us disagree with one another, but we still respect one another. So that's what it's all about. And I look forward to seeing some of you all tonight or hearing from you all tonight when we go live on the State of the Saints podcast. We will be taking phone calls. And, don't be afraid to call in, man. We're all family here. Don't think that, you call in, you're going to get chewed out. Look, I try to respect everybody's opinion. So come on. If you're not doing anything around 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern time, come on, check out the State of the Saints podcast, where we're going to talk a little bit more about Jameis Winston and also Dennis Allen comments. All right. So till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?